Today, we're going to talk about the things you need before the games and the things you need to watch for during the games. Let's get into it. Hey, before we get started, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell. That way you don't miss any content here on the channel. This week coming up during the games, I'll be doing daily recaps, 5 minutes or less, so you don't have to waste a lot of time telling you what happened during the CrossFit games. All right, with that out of the way, let's jump in. So the first thing I want you looking at during the CrossFit games is what do you need to do before? And the first thing you need to do is go download the schedule of what's going to happen. And there's a number of ways you can do that. So first of all, go get the CrossFit Games app. I get tons of you guys messaging me, DMing me during the CrossFit games, trying to find stuff. You'll find it all in the app. This is the one thing they do really, really well. Make sure you get that downloaded. You can also go to Mike Halpin's page, Known and Knowable. I'll drop the link in the show notes, but Mike's put together a calendar of events that you can drop directly onto your Google Calendar so you don't miss anything. Also, if you're a boomer, go sign up for email notifications on the CrossFit page. I'll link that to you as well. That way you're getting notified if anything changes during the week, times, dates, whatever. The reason why it's important for you to go get the schedule now is Dave has mentioned a couple of times that there should be 12 to 15 events this week. And so far to date, only 11 have been listed. So that tells us one or two things could be going on here. We could be getting some double scored events, which is very possible. They've done that in the past. It's certainly within the realm of possibility. Or you could get a surprise event, which is something else Dave loves to do, is drop surprises on the athletes. So you want to make sure you're getting those notifications if your preference is to watch all of the events live. So what should you expect during the week? Well, I think this year you're going to get a lot more traditional CrossFit style workouts. And what I mean by that is in years past, the games tends to range to kind of over the top type workouts. You see very few traditional workouts that we would do in an affiliate. You see things that only the best of the best of the best could possibly do. There's some clues as to why I think that these traditional CrossFit style workouts will be in more abundance. And the biggest one for me is that the entire competition is indoors. That alone leads to a more traditional style program. It's really hard to do cyclocross, as an example, indoors, and then do something immediately following it. Now, I wouldn't rule it out. It's within the realm of possibility they're willing to roll out all that equipment to do something crazy inside, but the odds are against it. Secondly, Dave has asked almost every athlete leading into the games what their favorite benchmark workout was. This week alone, the CrossFit Instagram page posted the girls, which is benchmark workouts named after women. So these both seem to be leading indicators that there will be more traditional CrossFit style benchmark workouts at the CrossFit Games. Historically, these benchmark workouts at the CrossFit Games have produced absolutely the best fan experience, and people still talk about them to this day. You can think of Murph as an example in 2016, where Dave almost killed Annie Thorsdottir due to the heat in California. The second one I think of that was hugely impactful was when they did Mary in 2019 in the Coliseum, and Carrie Pierce absolutely destroyed the field, just put up an obscene number that no one will likely ever be able to match. Those are both great examples and super fun, engaging, exciting fan experiences that I think they want to replicate. I also get the sense that CrossFit headquarters wants this for the brand. And what I mean by that is you can see during the Open, they tried to make the Open itself far more accessible to the masses and simpler. And attending semis, it felt like the workouts were also less convoluted than you've seen in the past. So I believe what's happening is Don Fall and his team are reining in Dave to sell the brand better in coverage. So it'll make it easier for them to sell the brand in total when they're ready to do so. Say what you want about Dave, but he's a good soldier, and director or not, he's not the final say in what goes on at this. And I think they're bringing in more people to consult as to what they look like. I don't think that'll impact Dave's programming necessarily, but I do think there's a strong influence to make this more viewer friendly this year. The last thing you need to do, and I hate to have to tell you to do this, you have to follow at the Dave Castro at Instagram. Yes, it's in the third person, the Dave Castro on Instagram, if you want to get official news that you may not see elsewhere. Now, if history follows, Dave is going to post athlete stories on his page. He typically hires a photojournalist, and I believe he's done that again this year. It's Christine Bald. She does an unbelievable job getting fantastic behind the scenes photos or action photos of what's going on at the event, and then sharing the story of that athlete that you may not be aware of. They're really compelling stories, and I think they're important to see. And if you want to see those, you're going to have to follow Dave in order to do so. Now, while I'm on the topic of Dave, let me just rant for a minute. It's a little disheartening to me that you have to follow him in order to get the full picture of what's going on at the CrossFit Games. There's some debate in the community about whether Dave's page is a personal page or official CrossFit media. And from my perspective, I've said this before, but I'm going to highlight it today and give you an example. Dave's page is 100% official CrossFit media. This week, he shared a post where he was outlining what CrossFit Games Event 4 was going to look like. And he did it as a collaboration with the CrossFit Games Instagram page. Now, the issue with that is when you do a collaboration post with anyone, the person who initiated the post determines who sees it. So anyone that person is blocked is now unable to see it on the other page. So in essence, anyone that has been blocked by Dave could not see that individual post on the CrossFit Games page that they're intentionally following to get CrossFit Games news. In effect, Dave's controlling the flow of media to people he agrees with. Now, I honestly don't care if Dave blocks me from his personal content. What he does on his own time and in his personal life has no concern to me. And I think to most people, it probably doesn't unless you're friends with him. But I think if CrossFit's going to allow this to happen and allow him to control that flow of media, then they need to come forth and admit to it and say so. Now, before anyone tries to co-opt that statement into private equity is screwing up CrossFit, this has been going on way before Berkshire owned CrossFit. This goes way back to Greg. Dave's been doing this for years, and they've been running it this way for years. So this is an ongoing problem for some time. My point is that under new leadership and with a new company running it, they need to decide whether they want to continue to let that happen. And I'm under the belief that they've already made that decision. And if that's the case, then they need to come forth and say so. This is a company that for the last couple of years has been promoting inclusion and accessibility within the brand. You can see it right on the website where it says CrossFit is for anyone. Well, they should change the term to CrossFit is for anyone unless you disagree with Dave Castro. Otherwise, you're not going to see this shit. The reason why corporations like CrossFit lean in heavy on diversity and inclusion is because it sounds great at board meetings and it works great when you're talking to shareholders. And I suspect if they went to their shareholders and said, hey, we have a firm grasp on diversity and inclusion, but not if your opinion differs from ours, they get a much different reaction than they're getting today. I would argue that diversity of opinion is every bit as important as race and sexual orientation. In any event, this is a terrible look for CrossFit, and they need to absolutely address this sooner than later. Do me a favor. Don't forget to subscribe to the page. I'm going to give you a lot of coverage this week around the CrossFit Games, as well as some opinions. I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments. See you during the games.